Unfortunately, this is way far from the All right. Oh god, I forgot how to. Whatever. All right, welcome to the Opus Magnum Weeklies, Week 11, Unstables. The puzzle is Unstable Sovrium by Spectria Limina. And you had elemental quintessence to make this triplexed molecule. The only way to gain fire was to disperse the quintessence and then duplicate the fire onto it. Yeah. I'll do it actually. Mr. Roller Spade. And two metrics were cycles and instructions. We are going to look at the cycles first. Spectria Limina said that she might be a little bit late, so I'm going to start cycles first because reasons. All right. We start at 19th place by 70 stone. Actually, we start from 21st place, but 20th and 21st and 20th solves were our instruction solves, so we start at 19th. Slightly more improved Mika Shoko 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 Toshikankan. Is it this is that deer anime, isn't it? All right. One important detail on this puzzle was that you needed 12 outputs instead of 6 to complete the puzzle. So this made rate in cycles pretty important. So this seems like a just solve the puzzle solve, as always. 70 Storm writes, getting closer to the min cycles. Unfortunately, well, I guess it is true, but we'll see how low it drops. Alright, 18th place, 18th, 17th, 16th place are all instruction solves. So about this solve. Interesting conduit usage. The conduit is used to, I guess, move atoms from the dispersion to the calcifier. But you can just place the calcifier here and it might work, maybe. Not sure. But yeah, we should move on to the next solve. Skipping 18th, 17th, and 16th, we get to the 15th solve. Philpok. New solution 1. There's no notes on this, but this was a speed solve, and Philpok was the third. This was the third solve ever submitted. So Philpok. No, Piggy, your speed solve is probably operated, or if you want, I can show it in showcase. Besides, you have a instruction solve, so I'm not. I'm not actually sure if this is instruction solve because the instruction values are not shown here, but okay, this is not an instruction solve, I guess. All right, we are going to see Biggie's speed solve, which scores 16th. This was the first ever, and this was the first submitted solve to this puzzle. Yeah, no conduits. The first thing she threw down was a very convenient layout. Certainly the quintessence is minimal. Quintessence has minimal movement to the output. Yeah, everything is compact together. There's a certain flow to the path of the atoms, so it doesn't need to move over each other constantly. But we are going to move on. 14th place. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company. Toys Company Tribones Crowd. B2. This is a long note, so I'm going to read the notes first. I dread to think what this compound could be used for. Triplex bonds are commonly used for ignition purposes, to cause one explosion per atom of quintessence, an element known as elemental chaos to some. I shudder at the thought. Surely any use of this compound could only be accompanied by disaster. The Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company usually enjoys cabinet puzzles, but single-chamber puzzles somewhat bored Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company in the past. The Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company is pleased to report that Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company found joy in creating quote-unquote separate chambers that happen to share bounds. The Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company's workplace was segmented out such that a wraparound to the bottom was much appreciated. This so was an intriguing one. The Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company has done some clever things that have Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company satisfied with this solve. Putting a layout together was surprisingly simple. Making it go fast is where the trouble comes. This puzzle is heavily limited by how fast you can convert one atom of each element into two triplex bonded pairs. Attaching the quintet is the easy part. The way Arm 3 manipulates the final fire is lovely, and Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company enjoyed realizing Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company could swing Arm 5 directly over the conduit to deliver it to Arm 6. Finding the pivot delivery for Arm 7 was also fun. PPS, there's no Arm 7 anymore. I was grabbing a fire atom from Arm 4 and rotating the whole Tringle to the output, pushing the Tringle with Arm 6 instead shaped 4I and 1C. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company had a different layout in the top right which seemed easily optimizable for cycles, but when Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company made the changes Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company had wanted, Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company saw only 2 cycles drop, but Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company had shaved nearly 20 instructions in the process. So now this is an instruction solve. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company supposes. Unfortunately, this actually scores better on cycles metric. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company isn't sure where else to optimize instructions in Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company's current layout, however. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company isn't certain Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company could make a solve using hexarms and other such instructions tagged in such a confined space without suffering terribly. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company fully expects for higher pricing solves to explore this territory. Nonetheless, as Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company has stated, Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company is happy with Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company's solution. Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company would like to wish good luck to those placing higher than Trixie Kagami Alchemy Company. P.S. I will be spelling out my name in full in the future, figuring reading it over and over might help work it into your system though. Now that you are in the habit, I won't need to be so aggressive about it next week, thankies. It was Morakonda, not me, okay? Signed, Trixie Kagami, the Cheshire Alchemist, enjoyer of all cabinet puzzles except Hexastabilized Assault. Okay. Okay, Spectria Limina is here. I'll just going to invite her to speak. Welcome. Yes. So I'm going to first go through the cycle solve, and then between the solves, I'm going to ask about the thought processes for the puzzles, etc. for a bit. All right. At 13th place, YB1. Broke my thumb but did this anyway. He says, 3 days ago I got a splint on my right hand because I broke my thumb. Picture of splint below, and that leads to a Discord I've embed that indeed is a right hand wearing a splint. He actually posted it on the Opus Magnum Discord. Ah. Duplicator. Here. Ah. I see. This has a lot of empty spaces on the board. Might have been better if to use 2 triplexes instead of pivoting it like this here, but that's in place. Yeah. 70 Storm Eurosol was 19th place. It was okay, I guess. Ah. Right. Yeah, yeah. Certainly. That sounds plausible, to be honest. Alright, we shall move on to the 12th place. Night Shine. Slow and steady doesn't explode your face. If Spectria is speaking, we cannot hear her. Wait a second. Wait a sec. Oh, did that now went through? Spectria, can you try talking? Okay. Oh, wait a sec. The Discord doesn't have audio capture. All right, wait a sec. Okay. Now we should capture the audio.
Okay, try this chat. Can you hear me?
Okay, it went through.
Yay! Yeah, so what I was saying is that this puzzle is interesting because the combination of the dispersion glyph and the bond in the output, this regular bond between the quintessence and the fire, the result is a very chiral puzzle, right? You can't just reflect if the output doesn't work.
Indeed.
Because then your fire's coming off on the wrong place on dispersion. And so I was joking that we could just run the same puzzle again next year, except with the quintessence bonded to the other fire, and it would be a very different puzzle. At least for like the detailed optimization, like the really optimized cycles, instruction solves, it would be a very different puzzle.
Yeah.
Lots of hex arms in this one.
Mm-hmm.
My first gut was that it was an instruction solve. I do need to be looking out, by the way. I do need to be looking for arms to give the awards to. Hex Arm of the Week, Tri-Arm of the Week, etc.
There are some good ones coming up. Yeah.
Remember that if you win one of the Arm of the Week awards, your prize is a free sample of Sovrium delivered directly to your door, assuming it still exists by the time it gets there.
Length 3 Arm of the Week. Lots of hex arms to duplicate. So 3. Okay, 3 hex arms to deliver the fire into Arm 5, which then Arm 6 triplex points, and then just outputs. The path of the quintessence is interesting.
Yeah, sneaking through the arms like that is really, really cute.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised, actually, that it didn't end up being better to just have Arm 2 carry it around.
Maybe because of the access points, I don't know.
Yeah. What's the, oh, this is a very long tape length. Yeah.
This is exactly 30...
using 12 products. Sorry.
This is exactly 30 instructions long, the tape length. So this is 15R.
Right. Yeah, the idea to do 12 outputs was Mora's, and the argument was basically to focus on rate, because with small puzzles and small number of products, often the latency becomes important, sometimes so important that you can get a lower number of cycles with a higher rate just because the latency is that much lower. And so Mora convinced me to switch it to 12 outputs to focus on rate.
But not
so it's almost a rate primary solve.
But not completely disallowing the setups and non-looping solves.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Royal Spade. I remember your six product puzzle that you sent me. That was really funny. I was impressed, actually. I'm kind of sad that solution didn't survive.
For the showcase doesn't need to solve.
Yeah, is it in the showcase, Royal Spade? Oh, okay.
No, it's not in the show. Oh, okay, it's not in the showcase. All right.
Oh, maybe it was someone else. I thought it was you.
And no, I only asked it if it was in the showcase. If it is not, then you should maybe submit it to the, I don't know, your choice. But anyway.
Oh yeah, it was Avenged Ruler.
Ah.
You are right.
Biggie CG solve is a speed solve. But we shall move on to the 11th place, Mr. Piozo. Yes, 186 cycles to 86 cycles, minus 100 cycles. This is... Now it looks busy.
Oh, this is very busy, yeah. Ooh, that's a nice 3-arm. That's a nice 3-arm. And 2 triplex bonders. Wow, look at those swings.
I like how I like how this calcifier is active for 3 consecutive cycles.
Yeah, and the duplication as well. The handoff at the end is also really good. There's once the first triplex goes, there's no missed latency, which is really well done.
Oh. True. Perfect Critelli spot, but there's no Critelli in the cabinet. Alright. This is 13 length tape loop, so this is 6.5R.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing, and I expected to see this, we're definitely seeing a lot of solves where the quintessence goes through the conduit to the end of the puzzle. I think that's a pretty natural motif.
Wait a second, let me just read about. Right. Alright, there are no notes. I'm going to move on to the next solve by Coco52. New solution 55. He's keeping the naming schemas.
That's a lot of new solutions.
He started at new solution 47 and it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that duplication with the as pivoting the fire. Oh, that's beautiful.
The necessary pivot, in turning the necessary pivot with one triplex into not wasting the necessary pivot with one triplex to by duplicating solve. Yeah. Oh yeah, this also conduits are also unused in this solve.
Right? Oh yeah, the conduits are unused. They're just there to get in the way in this solve, I guess. That's wild. How is the quintessence getting down there? Oh, I see the upper arm 9 is doing a huge length 3 swing. Okay, I'm going to count this one as a length 3 arm because it never extends or retracts.
Oh.
That's definitely a strong contender. That's an amazing swing that works. And especially that it works like while everything is moving.
Yeah. Alright. Are we ready to see? Are we ready to jump to the next solve?
Yeah, go for it.
At 9th place, Yosh. The correct amount of digits both in nonary and decimal. This is also a very long note, so I'm going to just read it right now. It took me less than 24 hours to get the correct amount of digits in decimal. It took me less than 48 to get the correct amount of digits in nonary. I don't know if it is possible to get the correct amount of digits in octal. But hey, that's the mystery of production cycles. My previous two attempts had me put the glyph of dispersion, which all my homies hate with a passion, near the elemental quintessence input glyph. This felt like a good choice at the time, but when I slept on the problem, I realized there were some serious issues with such a machine. See, near the glyph of dispersion there needs to be a bunch of additional machinery. Namely, it needs to have glyphs nearby that supports calcification, duplication, and a triplex bonding station. That made it tricky to find space for the regular bonder, and just how to move the quintessence through the chamber in order to get it at the right hexes that could support a normal bonding station. So my approach then shifted to us using the conduit provided to transport the elemental quintessence input to the glyph of dispersion, meaning the machinery for the worst glyph in the game could be contained sort of far away from the input, where it would not taint its purity. Then all I had to do was find ample space for at least one bonding station. Turns out with the swings I have programmed, I have space for the perfect bonding location. I think I'm quite happy with this solve, but I do suspect the cycle count can easily go down below where I'm at. It'd just be a rate shave of 4, and I am doing some inefficient stuff. Perhaps I will find this over the week. This is what I wrote when I found
this is a really cool...
Yeah. 2 pipelines for triplex. This is what I wrote when I found my first couple of sub 100 sea souls, in any case. But now sitting on an 83 sea soul, I realized I could use new fire to make even more fire. You can see this here with the water and earth atoms. The water turned fire lets the earth turn into fire without the original fire from the glyph of dispersion needing to be there, cutting down rate and latency both by 1. Also notice the things arms 4 and 5 are doing, especially when they make the first triplex bond. The length to swing and the slide movement are just the right combination of swings and slides that don't cause a collision. I'm still going to hunt for more optimization though. I think I will crack the sub 80s mark. Turns out joining the sub 80s club was as easy as just spotting a rather trivial period reduction on one of the arms needs. Not to steal Spectria's thunder or anything, but if you enjoyed this puzzle, please try out Sustaining Elixir, Research into Unconventional Alchemy 6 by Ritanian on the workshop. It's similar to this one, except the output has 6 salt likes. Another puzzle similar to this one from the same series is Black Toxin Research into Unconventional Alchemy 20 from the same author as before. And yes, I have the names and number of each entry memorized, why are you asking? P.S. Did you know that if you make a grey triplex bond and red triplex bond at the same time, it sort of sounds like you are making a regular bond? It fucked me up good when I noticed it.
Oh no. I can't hear right now, because I'm in the Discord and I have the stream muted, but that is disturbing information. I really do like the double pipeline. It's really cool. I'm impressed that it is like that there's space for it at all, given how constrained the arms are.
So this is 5.5 R?
Yes, looks like. Already better than my best cycles attempt. I didn't submit it, but it was 6R.
Let me see what my best was.
Yours was 5, right?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
What? Mine was... No, mine was... Right, it is not directly comparable because it was on the puzzle that had because I solved it when it still had 6 outputs. Alright. We are going to move on though. Sockboy. Prime the pump. Oh yeah, that the hex arm seems like
Ooh. Oh, very nice.
due to fire being in the middle of everything, it has to, yeah, primed, as the solution title suggests. So this is
Yeah, this is very neat.
yeah. This is a 5R in the steady state.
Yes, yeah. Very nice.
Hmm.
Oh, you could cut one latency by combining arms 9 and 10. Just move arm 10 down and put the conduit where arm 10 currently is. That way there's no regrab. Oh, but then you don't have the arm doesn't reset in time.
It just has to be the last one, so maybe it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you could slide with arm 9 for the first one, and then... No, that wouldn't work. I feel like it ought to be possible.
If it was possible to save 1 latency, then it would have cost, and then it would earn one placement, because next solve is still at 78 cycles.
Oh, wow. That's like a 3-way tie?
Yes.
On primary?
Avenged Ruler plus Skyhook.
Down to 360 G. That's pretty cheap for this. Oh, Z-Track.
Skyhook writes, satisfied with just getting Raid 6, looking forward to the crazy Raid 3 solves.
Oh, that's neat. It's raid 6, but the latency is better, I guess. So it still comes in at 78.
Yep.
The conduit placement made me think that the quintessence was going through it, and then I realized that it's not used. I'm excited to see this come down. Did anyone get, did anyone actually get 5 or 8? Or better? Well, I mean, I guess we just had 5 or 8 in the last one. Do we have, like, a pure 5 or 8?
We're gonna see.
You did call it easy, Biggie. I'm disappointed in you. Are there any notes on this one?
They'll just say, satisfied with just getting raid 6, looking forward to the crazy raid 3 solves. Alright. We'll see if there is actually raid 3. But for the next solve is from Team Tiestoler. Conduit raid +1.
Conduit rate.
The arm 3.
Oh, that's a salt going through the conduit. 2 salts going through the conduit. Oh, I guess the fire is just used as a catalyst.
Yeah, this fire is never handled in the...
Oh, wow. Arm 3. Yeah, that's impressive. Wow. No, so that's 3 salts going through the conduit. That's wild.
So that's conduit rate +1.
And arm 9 is super useful.
Conduit rate should be 10. It should be 9, but this has 10 take loop.
Right. Okay. So yeah, 5R.
So Tiestoler writes, "This is our first approach for C, and as such, we attempted the most straightforward method: a single dispersion glyph, a permanent catalyst, and all calcified atoms passing through the conduit. Unfortunately, our specific geometry meant that the fire atoms block the conduit for 1 cycle per loop, hence the solve name. It should be possible, even with a permacatalyst, to send only 2 atoms through the conduit, and unlock much faster rates. There is also a bunch of latency we think could be cut. So we don't expect this solve to dazzle the field, but we feel it is perfectly respectable given the time spent. We expect the best solves will break 60 easily, and would hazard a hazy guess that sub 50 is on the table for the Wizards."
I don't think sub 50. Like maybe if 3R, but even sub 60, I think is quite hard in this puzzle. I wouldn't call it so easy.
Also, I wouldn't call sending all salt through the conduit straightforward.
Yeah.
If a piston is in the bottom left, you can move salt on top of the conduit without passing it through.
I'm not sure I follow. Oh, Biggie is saying that the air, the salt made from the air could be just retracted onto the conduit rather than swinging it across and in.
Alright.
Which might cut a latency because then you don't have a conduit in the way. Or sorry, might cut the rate. You don't have that third use of the conduit.
Yeah. But regrab is only 2, yeah. Alright, at 5th place, Team Jamius 42, 70 cycles. This is 10 loop.
Iteration after iteration?
Jamu
2 triplex, which is
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go and read the notes.
Jamu may have already uploaded this version, but just in case, I uploaded here to Team Jamius 42. Alchemist 42 Genius 42. Once upon a time, Alchemist 42 Genius 42 made an instruction solve for this puzzle. This solve was modified with minimal effort. Just changing instructions and adding one more arm and track piece to get 126 cycles for a CG soul. That'll do. Then I had another look later, trying faster build methods. Still leaving the top arms from the instruction sold the same and got to 110. That'll do. And if it wasn't for Alchemist Jammu's effort, that's where I would have left it. Jammu quickly figured it was faster to have pistons for each elemental atom after the quint split, rather than a hex arm that has to grab turn dropped, and came up with the 97 cycles, then eventually on 81. Impressive stuff. Though now the bottleneck was around what was at the time the lower hex arm spinning over the triplexes, forcing a period of 12, spurred on by Alchemist Jammu's efforts. Alchemist 42 Genius 42 soon got it down to period 11, and then, after 2 more hours, down to period 10, giving a cycles count of 71. Alchemist Jammu then fiddled a little more to offset my aesthetic even output rate to knock off 1 more cycle to take us to 70. Yay, a true team effort. Good enough for a top 10, or will we be sad? Definitely it is good enough for top 5, so it's pretty good, I guess. Alchemist Jammu's Stitch here got the latency on the machine down by 1. Not sure what else to say. Just moved some instructions around and somehow squeezed another cycle out of this thing. This puzzle was a nice distraction to some other things happening. It was really fun smiley face, thanks Spectria. A sticky note on the bottom of the summit.
Glad you enjoyed.
Cabinet machine, supposedly from Mr. Stitch. If you are seeing this, it's getting worse. The dreams stay the same. With the planet, the stars, everything. The medications have not worked. I'm not sure what I can do anymore. At this point, I might just accept my fate. Wait for maybe the beginning of the next year, 2025. That's where the signs lead to, at least. If you see anything, just anything in the sky, tell me, I need to know. Alchemist 42 Genius 42. I told him not to read the Necronomicon.
When I was trying to cycle solve this originally, I really struggled to find the room to put in a separate triplex, but it certainly makes things a lot easier. Yeah, exactly. Like, not only separate triplex, but two pipelines, separate duplication. Yoshisawa was really incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, those length 2 swings really look like they shouldn't work, but they're really critical for a lot of tight production puzzles. When you're trying to optimize. Such a weird little quirk.
Alright, at 4th place, still at 70 cycles. Team Hello Jazia.
Whoa, that's a big track. Oh, that's neat. The bond, the quintessence before the triplex is finished.
Also, yes.
Oh, this is wild.
So this is still 10 loop, right? But this is cheaper. Even with this track loop, there's only 1 piston in the soul.
Oh, wild. Yeah, only 1. That's pretty incredible.
I'll read the notes now.
Multiple OMX is possible in mods.
Right. Yeah. So, Alchemist Kazian writes, a brief list of conditions which will cause Sovrium to detonate discovered during our replication of Vina's work, in no particular order. Using insufficiently greased pistons that thus cause a friction source, scrubbing on unclean tile in the cabinet to get the dust off, stopping the transmutation engine in any way that is not a graceful shutdown switch, idly clicking the pincers of a gripper arm together in the satisfying way that we all deny doing, running the production cabinet on a non-level surface, adjusting your specular lighting source, placing a glyph of equilibrium, perhaps its perfect balance in all respects offends the compound, random chance, walking into the room too excitedly because you had an idea for saving one cycle, wishing too hard that it will not explode this time, wrong face of the moon I presume. Alchemist Kazian in correspondence with Alchemist Jasper.
Okay, that's the best note so far.
Oh, this is
a really pretty solve. I really like it.
okay. That's a drop. Could they be hex arms?
No, they would grab grab too much.
Right. Alright. At third place, I hope you are ready for a drop. We are skipping
Oh?
60s, jumping directly to 59.
What? No. Wow. Wow, that's a massive jump. Okay, what is this mess? Okay, that's a firearm. That's certainly. Wow, what's this? This is 4R?
Yes.
That swing of the air. Look at that. 2 duplication glyphs, 2 calcification glyphs, and it all somehow works out in the end.
Evanov writes, Pseudo 8R at steady state. I think they meant 8P, but yes. A chamber and flow friendly triplex.
Yeah, 8/2R.
i.e. no big swings, fancy partial triplex molecule storage, or molecule entering and exiting the glyph from the same direction. Would be the one here with 4R and follow a strict enter-exit pivot handle pivot cadence, especially that 2 fire atoms has to enter the glyph at the same time. It also means that handling a pivot needs at least 5 instructions, and in a pseudo 8P tape, the 4 pivots has to be handled by 4 different arms. So that's the 7, 8, 9, 10, I guess. With the Potrom triplex laid out and dispersal glyph laid out, the duplication process is mostly opportunistic. Arm 6 is in a good place to swing 2 fire atoms that is to be pivoted away to triplex glyph, but the second swing, Earth, would collide with 2 atoms, air of the same batch and water of the next batch, at the same time, and then the great save comes to Arm 1. It has opportunistic timing, opportunistic geometry that swinging the other way avoids both collisions, and opportunistic instruction tray that Arm 1 has the space aside quint dispersing, and that there's exactly 1 cycle of extra time quint dispersing can move earlier and not collide with previous batches at. Interesting.
This is a great solve.
Yeah.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
The arm dodgeball is really cool. Everything flying around in there. We have 2 more ahead of this?
Actually, 3 more. So at second place.
Oh, right. More is solved.
Sai looks away. Sai writes, 4R is a very natural rate to hit, so I expect a big pile up. I would be delighted to see someone get lower. This would require either 2 triple expanders or some space and latency hungry routing of the fire sticks. My solution was made by iterating on an 8R design. So they cut the rate in half. Impressive.
It's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think conduit for quintessence is very natural because it's a low it's low bandwidth, right? Like you can only put 1 atom through every 3 cycles, and so it's just natural to go through with the quintessence since everything else kind of needs to get through the calcification duplication pipeline.
Mm-hmm. And yes, Yosh, this is just a 4-piece solve.
Wait, which dodge are you talking about, Biggie?
The arm 4 doing the arm 4 doing.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, I will confess, I actually took a look at the solution and poked at it a little bit yesterday, and that dodge is really important, it turns out.
Mm-hmm. Alright, remember this layout. Our first place solver has. Before we look at the first place solver, we need to look at one another solve, which is a host solve. Murakonda solve. Exact same glyph layouts.
Yeah.
And yes, someone beat Murakonda.
Yeah, someone did beat Murakonda.
Murakonda writes, practical min plus 0. If someone beats this on secondary by cutting a piston track though, fair play to them. All glyph and conjure locations remain unchanged from Haxton's original layout. I only got 5R from my own. My first attempt's layout was much inferior to this. On seeing Haxton's solve, I promptly abandoned my own, instead improving his 5R to 4R with the 2 piston track loops. So the story is that I made this layout and I did not realize it was actually 4R because I was stuck at 5R for the rest of the testing period before Mora found these 2 piston track loops.
The amount of work that arms 8 and 9 do is incredible.
Yeah. Grabs air, duplicates, triplex bonds, everything, then outputs it.
I see what you did there, Spade. I like the 3 unused hexes over on the left, just chilling there.
Alright.
Alright, so who's our first place?
First place. Meanderer. Yes,
That's a name I don't recognize. Whoa.
Yeah, Meanderer participated in mid weeklies. Oh, okay. They are in the Twitch chat. He's in the Twitch chat, yeah.
Oh, hello.
And yes, this is 3.5R.
Incredible. The tight tri-arm track loop working is really incredible.
Mm.
It's a shame it doesn't loop. And yeah, it doesn't use the conduit. What the hell?
Just pipeline correctly. I guess.
Yeah, I'll be honest though, swinging the quintessence around the back like that is inspired. It really, really looks like it ought to be possible to make the top track loop into a 4-length loop with 3 arms on it. But that doesn't quite work because if you wanted to make it 3R, you need to be pulling quintessence every 2 cycles. And since the first motion is a swing off the input on arm 3, then you can't get the next arm into place in time.
Right.
If it weren't for that, I think it would be pretty easy to turn this into 3R because everything else in this machine works at 3R. It's just that track loop that needs an extra cycle. Really incredible.
Mm.
Congrats to Meanderer for finding this and for winning the cycles this week.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, very. Yeah, this is very well done. All right. Now, while I replace the AutoHotkey script, so do you want to explain about how this? Do you want to talk about how this puzzle came to be?
Yeah, sure. So I was originally playing around with Quintessence in Cabinet, looking just for a specific motif that I wasn't that ended up not really working out. You saw some of those versions of the puzzles. They were kind of inelegant, and trying to stuff such a giant puzzle into cabinet would have been a problem. But it got me thinking about quintessence in cabinet generally, and I noticed that our leaderboards have no puzzles with dispersion in cabinet.
Ah.
And so I thought, oh, why not do a simple puzzle with dispersion in cabinet? And it felt kind of natural to do something that forced a dispersion, but in an interesting way, because it's kind of hard to make use of all 4 of those cardinals. And so that's where I came up with the idea of, well, what if we had to turn them all into fire in order to make triplex bonds? And really, stuff in the dispersion and triplex consumes a lot of space, right? Like that's 8 of your hexes minimum spent on glyphs. And then another 2 on a bonder, another 2 on duplication, 1 on calcification. So you're looking at a minimum of what's it work out to? It's, I think, 13 hexes total spent on glyphs. And that really constrains your space. That's almost a third of your cabinet space right there. No, sorry, it's more than a third of your cabinet space. And so that was the basis for it. And then yeah, and 2 conduits as well. I played around with it, and I really liked the puzzle. The there's an really interesting challenge of like pulling the fire, duplicating. It would be a very, very interesting puzzle, like I think a much easier puzzle if the fire were on the edge of the dispersion glyph instead of in the middle.
Possibly, yeah.
And then I didn't really ever play around with the mirrored version with the bond in the other place on the output, because it seemed to work just fine. I did think about maybe doing no conduits, maybe doing a bigger, like a 2-size conduit, but I felt a 2-size conduit would constrain too much, even though it might see some use. And that's part of why I was thinking that it would be nice if I could have had a slightly bigger cabinet, just give a little more freedom. With a slightly bigger cabinet, like if we could add like an extra column, it would be, we would definitely have 3R cycles, right? Like that puzzle would definitely have fit inside a...
Yeah, that sounds, yeah.
But this is the biggest possible cabinet. And the switch in, so cycles, I was originally trying to do more interesting metrics, and so I want to do like one non-traditional metric, and so I was looking at I think period was the main one I was looking at, but then I realized that period was probably going to end up too close to cycles after we did some playtesting, and I'd originally thought it would end up being very similar to instructions, and I was wrong, so I'm really glad I made the last minute switch to instructions instead. I didn't even have an instruction solve. I just did like half an instruction solve and was like, oh, this puzzle's actually really good on instructions, so let's ship it.
I know that,
and I
didn't finish my things to say, but saying that would be a spoiler, so I'll just reserve it until the thing reveals.
I did finish an instruction solve, but it was halfway through the week.
All right.
I'd forgotten how fun cabinet instructions is, honestly.
It's a fun metric, yeah.
Maybe I should go and try and get some BI records.
All right. For instructions,
except I don't really. BI is like usually too constrained. Yeah, BI is usually too constrained. It's like I really want there to be a metric that makes like regular puzzles feel like cabinet instructions, like something like instructions plus area or something.
Opus crash it. Wait a sec.
Oh, beautiful.
But yeah, BR doesn't allow this swing. PI, yeah. The length to swing
Yeah, it doesn't
against the
allow the
wall.
length to swing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that adds 2 area.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Maybe someday we'll get things modded so that we can have like cabinets in the solve.
Mm-hmm. That or custom
And
shaped
then
cabinets
constrain based
maybe.
on like the
Hopefully.
Yeah. That one does exist. There is a mod for that. But
Oh.
unfortunately, it requires modded OM to use it.
Ah.
Like you can't open the puzzle unless you have the mod.
All right. So for instructions, we start at 17th place. Yeah, this is a different soul from 70 Storm.
Nika shoko 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 tosh kankan. I see.
Yes.
Wait, is that Hexarm doing pivots? Yes. Oh, it's pivoting the out of the way so the first product drops off. Oh, that's really interesting.
I see.
One arm doing a lot of work here. I guess that's where most of the instructions are.
Only one empty space. That's...
You can't have a fractional P, because P is the period. Oh, wait, no. Wait, no. Yeah.
P is period, either period or product. Very confusing, but P before the numbers is period. P after number is product.
That's confusing.
Yeah. Jamu, that's because T was delegated to trackless. Alright, 16th place. Casual Soul by JPiv. I see, very casual soul, one arm doing everything.
Pretty efficient for a single arm.
Mm-hmm. Only 87 instructions. That one arm in 70 Storm Soap had 78 instructions. This one has only 9 more. But it can do everything.
Feels like a CI solve, actually. I don't think it's actually like great CI, because I'm sure you can cut some of the tracker, put in another arm instead of something, but you can probably do this in only 2 or 3 track, but it has that vibe to it.
this one is cycles. This one is also cycles. This one cycles. We jump down to, so after three cycle souls, we jump down to 47 instructions.
Oh yeah, that's plausible, Jasper. 47. Okay, so now we're getting into the real optimized territory. No conduit use. It's hard to think of commentary for instructions because it's so... I don't know. I guess it takes a lot more work to understand an instruction solve and sort of where the trade-offs are, which makes it hard to commentate.
Definitely. So this is... So arm 1 is a tri-arm. It rotates once per each take loop, so that creates the... So this is making one product per loop, but...
Yeah, I think that's a very natural motif.
Yeah.
You can, because you need to pull 3 quintessence to make 2 products. And so you really want some kind of conditional logic to lower your... so that you don't have to program out all 3 quintessence pulls in a single track loop, because that'll cost you a lot of instructions, right?
Right.
You really don't want to have to repeat your code on any arm. You want to just find something that works with a very short period. Well, not even necessarily a very short period, but like a very small amount of instructions per arm per period, so that... And just have them do the same thing over and over again and produce an output somehow. So I think it's very natural to use like a tri-arm or a bi-arm on the quintessence in order to pull it conditionally.
Alright, at 11th place, Genius 42, you have predicted accurately. 3 instructions too many. Were 15, 14, and 13 cycle souls with lower instructions, I assume? Yes. I'm pretty sure those 3 were already shown in the cycles section, so...
So we're down to a length 11 tape based on arm 1. Wait, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just doing a lot of dancing. Oh, I see. So arm 1 is doing all 3 quintessence pulls. But then it's rotating offset so that it spends a lot of time doing nothing, letting the rest of the machine clear out before it starts the next loop. That's a very neat thing going on there.
It's a clever... Yeah, I think that's clever.
Yeah, that's very clever. It makes... It simplifies the rest of it because you don't have everything flying around at the same time, right?
Yeah. Alchemist Genius...
It would have been very cool if...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It would have been very cool if that could have been a bi-arm or a tri-arm. A length 2 bi or tri is something you don't always see, especially in production.
True.
I think we had that 1 length 2 bi-arm.
Yeah, in the Ebon soap, right? So Alchemist 42 Genius 42 writes, 42i or under has to be possible, but I fear I will have little time during the week to find it. All arms are vintage instructions too, except for Arm 7 that has both track movement and pivots. I have not been able to improve this since Tuesday. I must be missing something. Oh well. P.S. Found some weird book with an eye in a skewed pentagram on the cover. Gave to Alchemist Jammu to read. That's the Necronomicon, I guess. Mentioned, I guess. How is the... Okay, fire is directly delivered with Arm 2. Gotcha. Vintage instructions. Vintage instructions only grab, drop, rotates. with the implication that these pivots, pistons, and track movements have been developed later in the development of alchemical engines. TI were more restricted, maybe. Alright. At 10th place. Mr. Piozo. ICG. Okay, so Arm 1 and 2 handles the ratio in this one.
Yeah.
And Arm 4...
Yeah, Arm 1 pulls once every 6 loops.
Mm-hmm.
And Arm 2 pulls every 3 loops. And a very busy hex arm delivering fire up to the triplex.
Avenger Ruler is celebrating on chat that the optimizations mattered.
They always matter. What are you talking about?
There's no notes. So the arm with the most instruction is the Arm 10, with filling the entire tape loop, which is length 8.
Yeah. It looks like if you could reach an arm to the bottom right hex of the triplex, then Arm 10 would need fewer instructions. Because it wouldn't need to pivot back.
I'm also looking at... Well, that's Arm 2 and Arm 3, that's 4 more instructions than strictly necessary for handling the quintessence.
Huh?
No. So, Arm 3's only job is to fix the geometry.
Well, but it's got to move it off the conduit, right?
It is, but maybe if there was a geometry that Arm 2 could deliver this directly into the bonder, then...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true.
Alright. At 9th place, Avenged Ruler plus Skyhawk. Avenged Ruler writes, "The metric was TI, right? Please, for the love of God, tell me the metric was TI. In all seriousness, if people found a way to do very low eye count with a large track loop, good for you. I had a bunch of fun doing this. Also, I absolutely hate this glyph, and the fire atom swing is really stupid." Oh, this one is...
Wait, how does that swing work? Oh, I see. Wait, no.
Air atom is
Oh, Arm
temporarily...
4 moves it out of the
Yes.
way. That's amazing. Arm 4 could be on a track to save 10G.
I guess so, yeah.
I like the conduit where it is, and arms 2 and 5 together. Really beautiful timing on that. I think definitely keeping the fire off of calcification is a real part of the challenge of instructions.
Right. Because everything wants to go through the... Because it is much easier to program if everything goes through the calcifier. But fire needs to be...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This one is also using the bi-arm and single arm motif found in the previous soul.
Yeah. Really nice motif.
Alright. For 8th place.
So what are people's predictions for... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Go on, start the next puzzle.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to ask what people's predictions are for the lowest C.
8th place, Kelly Reese's.
We've got, looks like the same bi-arm. Oh, no, it's not quite the same.
It first has to go through the conduit. Yeah.
Oh, it's a slightly different count. It's still using a bi-arm, but the bi-arm is doing 2 moves to slow down the motion.
Ah.
That's a neat, that's a very neat setup for that bi-arm.
Kelly Reese's writes, "I like the hex arms, but the other arm pairs feel like they should be combined."
Yeah, like arm 1 and 2. Yeah, if there was more room, arm 1 and 2 could be a hex arm on a track.
I like how arm 5 is feeding the dispersion and also taking care of the one cardinal atom by feeding it back through the conduit.
Very,
yeah,
very nice setup there.
Alright, at 7th place, Fiestaland. 29 instructions. That's -6.
Ooh. That's a big cut.
2
Wow, does that mean everyone
triplexes.
else is below 20? Or below 30? Wow. Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Two triplexes? What's going on here?
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. That's great. Arm 1 is great. That's really cool.
If Arm 1 fails to output, Arm 7 feeds it to the dispersion.
We're definitely seeing a lot of hexarm motifs now, which is pretty typical for production instruction solves because they can get so much done. One interesting thing I noticed is that you need you use the triplex bonder sort of as a conditional in order to there's a couple puzzles where we've seen that, and I expect we'll see more, where you're sort of relying on the triplex bond as your conditional. Oh no, actually, in this case, the conditional is the quintessence.
The output conditional.
But in any case, the hex arm, yeah, the hex arm can't really do much on its own because it can't pivot. Because it's grabbed both fires, and so it can't pivot. It will explode if it tries to do that. Another thing that will make unstable Sovrium explode is grabbing both fires with a hex arm and trying to pivot.
So Fiesalen writes, this metric got more attention than C, and we think it shows. Dispersion is always tough for instructions, but since everyone struggles the same, we can't complain. Our favorite aspect of this method is using the conduit to let fire bypass the calcifier. It does cost 2i to grab drop the others on the conduit. Arm 4 is doing the grab drop, but this is still markedly more streamlined than the other fire handling ideas we tried. The SADs in question are the dispersion feeding arm and the triplex twiddling arm on track. The former feels like something the input-output arm should be able to do. Something like the latter is necessary in our approach, because timing is irregular between pairs of products, but more space or cleverer timing will mitigate this whopping 6i. Something in the range of 23i seems about right for this puzzle. $23. At 6th place, we have Ebono. Still at 29 instructions, but faster. And large hex arm.
Oh, wow. Oh, and that hex arm is doing a lot of work, too. That's a beautiful arm.
Arm 2 is feeding the quintessence and grabbing the water to feed it to Arm 1.
Yeah, that's also really good.
Yeah. Ebonov writes, with Arm 1 bringing fire back this close to Quint, I don't know what can use the conduit here. One fun thing is that Arm 5 and Arm 6 have a duplicated pivot. It's just worth it to move work this way, and Arm 7 doesn't have to move its gripper. The striking coincidence here is that my two submissions have dispersion glyph, triplex glyph, and quint input placed exactly the same. Huh. Arm 4 places the fire as a catalyst, and Arm 6 sneakily delivers it back when the fire is on.
Right.
Yeah.
Arm 4's move is also convenient because it dodges the swing of Arm 1.
Mm-hmm. Alright. At 5th place, Jonjon. 28 eye. Okay, this one is much more cramped than the previous one. There's no notes. Yeah, another big hexon. And also notice the permanent catalyst by Arm 2.
Yeah, the permanent catalyst is an interesting motif because it simplifies things considerably if you can set that up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's relatively cheap to set up often. Sometimes it's as few as 2 instructions.
So let's look at the Arm 8 doing setup. So that's, and then Arm 8 still has use even after the setup.
Right, yeah, that's cool. The retraction, keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very cool arm. Nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how is the output? Can you slow it down a bit? I'm trying to understand how the output gets. Oh, it's not Arm 5, it's Arm 1 that's taking it. Okay, never mind. I see.
Alright. Let's look at the 4th place. Meanderer. This one is about 100 cycles. Exactly 100 cycles more faster than the previous one.
That's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a big track loop too. So what's going on? We've got Arm 7 is pulling the quintessence. Oh, okay. So Arm 2 is interesting. The back swing to get the air onto the
Calcification.
calcification.
Yeah. And to feed the I guess to feed the fire atom in without gap through the conduit.
Right, yeah. I like the conduit motif where Arm 1 drops things into the conduit and then receives them back after they've looped around once.
It's a very slick motif. Also, Arm 6 pivoting to output. And it takes...
yeah. There's 3 arms here that do nothing but pivot. Nothing but a single pivot.
Okay, Arm 5 is it feeds the dispersion. Alright.
Yeah. And that's why it's on the track loop, is to just keep it from colliding too much. Yeah, this looks similar to my solve as well. But I don't have a place in the rankings because it's my puzzle.
Alright. At third place, who is celebrating in the chat, Biggie. What? Read the whole title. 95, 16, 16, 16, 16, 24, 56. 16, 40, 16, 56, 24, 48. 64, 32, 16, 40. 64, 32, 16, 32. Yes, Cardinal Chaos.
I really like arms 1 and 7 working on the quintessence conditionally. And I guess that's where all the chaos comes from, is because when the quintessence drops off and actually actually triggers dispersion is kind of random.
Some sort of feedback loop that causes it to output at irregular intervals.
Yeah.
The Biggie
and
writes.
then the arms. Oh, sorry.
No.
I was just gonna say arm 6 acts as a conditional, and it only pulls things off when you get 2 fire.
Because arm 4 also pivots it off the right. All right, I'll restart it to see how it setups. Alright, Biggie writes, "This is the closest I have seen to Cardinal Chaos and I love it. The lexicographic cycles of this solution is in the title. It takes 14 outputs before it reaches 2/9p steady state. The general idea is that atoms from dispersion enter a circuit of length 12 in pairs. Any atom eventually ends up calcifying, converting to fire, and triplex bonding to its neighbor. Meanwhile, dispersion is just attempting to proc every tape loop. When pairs become outputs, the circuit gets emptier, causing dispersion to eventually succeed. My original design was 41 and the circuit was a hexam and a piston, with no conduit. The piston had way too much work, 20 of the 41 instructions. After a complete layout change, I got to 31, then 28, then 26. I don't imagine that it goes too much slower." I spent a lot of time fiddling with various arrangements to optimize secondary. The circuit could be length 12 or length 11 depending on whether the hex arms moved in unison or staggered. Conduit position dramatically changes the timing. The delayed start arm grabbing the catalyst could wait until the second, or in this case, third fire, sometimes causing things to end up faster. This one eventually ending up at 2/9p makes it actually among the slowest steady states that I found. It loses the race to 14 outputs as compared to a different 4/15p submission, but it is so fast for its first 12 that we ship it. Alright. At second place, who was also celebrating in chat, Mr. Royal Spade. The lock stitch. This hex arm, I think we've seen this in the Meanderer Solve. And yeah, only 5
arms.
I
like arm 5. That's a great swing.
Arm 2 is the MVP. This is exactly the same instructions in the... This is doing the same instructions that was in the Meanderer Solve, but in different timings. Conditionally blocks the dispersion so that 4 gets back in time. The dupe is in here. Before we get to the first place solve, we also have to go through a host solve.
Yep, this is my solve. Coming up.
The notes. Sorry about that.
Don't worry about the...
I'm going to read the notes and then move on to the spectators.
Don't worry about the notes. I can cover... for Mr. Royal Spades, yeah.
Mr. Royal Spade writes, "This is a really interesting instruction puzzle. Usually production lends itself to symmetry, so it was fun to make such an irregular shape. The big breakthrough for this solve was using Arm 2's movement to conditionally disperse the quintessence. By moving the quintessence on Arm 2's first clockwise rotation, the glyph of dispersion is blocked by salt. This block allows Arm 5 to grab the still whole quintessence before Arm 2 finishes its second spin. You can see this working on cycle 62. Arm 5 makes it back just in time to stop the quintessence from dissolving. The assembly used to be way more interesting with an insane storage piston, timed arms, and clever reuse of Arm 3. Unfortunately, the regraphs made it cheaper to just slap an arm on a track. I think this is super clean. Enjoy."
It is super clean, yeah.
Cycle 62. I'm not quite seeing it. Alright. Still only 5 arms here, as described, as Piggy points out. This is a very clever solve.
Yeah, really tight solve.
Alright, now look at the host solve by Spectria Limina. IR.
It's called IR, but it's not actually IR. This ends up being what I had as my IG solve. I had a faster version, but I lost it and accidentally because I misnamed it as IR.
Should I read the notes or?
No. We've talked about half the stuff that's in there anyway, and I can talk about this solve. This is another chaos solve, sort of like Biggie's, except not quite as chaotic. It took a while to find the third hex arm here, but it works really, really well. Arm 3 does double duty, keeping the quintessence from getting up to Arm 2 and keeping the air from getting stuck in Arm 5. And then Arm 6 is maybe the worst solve the worst arm I've ever put in a solve. And the reason it's there is you can see it just pivots out of the way and back in order to dodge the grab from Arm 2, which is Arm 1, which is the hex arm whose number you can't see. And this is because sometimes the sort of which quintessences get picked up by the dispersion is so random that sometimes you'll notice that the quintessence is late to the bonder, and as a result, I need Arm 6 to dodge it out of the way so that it doesn't get stuck in the mechanism and crash when Arm 1 picks it up. And I could not find a way to retime it away, no, because the instruction loop is so small. Like it's fundamentally not simply a timing problem. It's that the quintessence is an entire track loop late. And if you do things like move the conduits, you can change the timing a little bit. But I couldn't find any version with no timing, or like with no timing issues. Because fundamentally, the faster you output, the less quintessence you have, and the more likely it crashes. And my faster version of this gets down to period 7 by adding an extra arm to do half of Arm 3's work.
What about Arm 5 rotating twice? Kelly Reeses asks.
I don't think that would help. If it rotated twice, yeah, it would prevent suppression. Maybe. It's an interesting idea. Shave one instruction, get that predicted 23. Actually, this version didn't. For the longest time, Arm 5 wasn't a hex arm. And I was trying to do something more similar to what Mr. Royal Spade did, but I couldn't find the timing that worked out. And so I eventually just went with the hex arm. Because that way I don't have to worry about consuming every single quintessence. It's totally fine if it loops around. I'm really disgusted by Arm 6 and I wish I could get rid of it.
Alright, let's look at the first place solve by Team Hello Jazian, beating this by 2 cycles.
2 cycles, wow. That's incredible.
Oh, Arm 1, okay.
Oh, hex on track. Oh, that's a nice way to hit the, Oh, and because it rotates first, it keeps the fire off of calcification. That's really cool.
And then the feeding back to conduit motif happens here again. So,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, my solve had 2 triplex because the hex arm ended up having enough room for a second triplex, and that saves 3 instructions because this arm is one of the 2 ways to sort of get the fires off of the hex arm while doing the triplex in only 6 instructions, and Biggie used the other way with 2 different arms, each of which does 1 pivot.
But Arm 4 is so clean.
Yeah, it is. But one note is the way that Biggie's used works conditionally, whereas Arm 4 does not. Arm 4 only works if it's being fed pure fire.
Right. So, Alchemist Kazian writes, when I discovered this 11 instruction method of dispersing quintessence into 4 fire atoms, I expected it to be a secret sauce. But I'm an alchemical engineer, not a chef, and could not find a useful recipe for Sovrium using it. The remaining instructions for triplex bonding and output are the work of my correspondent. I presented him the sauce and he cooked. Fist, are we revealing next week soon? Yes. But we still have a secret solve to go through.
But wait, there's more.
Surprise. This is 24 is actually not Spectria Limina's best solve.
This solve is ridiculous. This is absolute chaos, and it only outputs 17 times before it gets stuck in an infinite loop.
Yes, true cardinal chaos.
I also like how it gets down to a single fire in the loop, and it looks like all hope is lost, but it finally manages to get one more output, and then it'll do a few more. If you can speed it up now. I guess wait till you can do 4 more outputs, because we've seen the 13th. And I think there's one more. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Yeah. Those 2 fires are gonna output now, and now it gets stuck. Oh, I miscounted. Okay, now it's stuck.
All right. So yeah,
the air eventually pollutes the system too much, and yeah, it's total chaos.
But the Air Nation eventually repels the Fire Nation, and sometimes after the 17th output, it enters an infinite loop never to output again. If you change
the reason I called it...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry?
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, the reason I called it this should be 16 is because unlike in my 24 solve, I need to use 6 instructions to get the fire off of arm 1 because there's no room for a triplex. And that's because I had to move the output or the input back a hex, because it can't be where arms 4 and 3 intersect. The genesis of this idea was just, what if I replaced that piston in the previous solve with a hex arm, because it can do both of the same things. And then absolute chaos resulted, and I put the duplication glyph basically in the first place that I saw a fire next to a salt. And I prayed that it worked, and it did. But you basically can't change anything. I think there's one conduit movement that you can do, like reposition, that will make it a 760 cycle instead of 675. But apart from that, basically any change you make will cause this puzzle to crash in very spectacular ways, which is very fitting for the for unstable Sovrium.
Amazing. So yeah, 18 was apparently possible.
My mind is very unstable. It's true.
All right. Before we look at the showcase solves.
It's also TI, by the way.
TI. True. Before we look at the showcase solvers, I'll have to announce the final puzzle of this weeklies. Probably the biggest drop from best to 0 to plus. Alright, Alchemist, it's time to touch grass.
Oh no. Wait. Oh, when you pulled out the triplex spawner, for a moment I was like, are there triplexes there? And I had to like go close to my screen.
There's no triplexes. This is So the final week of the weeklies has been traditionally shitpost week or aesthetics week. So you are to make something beautiful, something amazing, funny, curse, or even something that you want to see. And then the subs will going to be voted on by the community after the reveal. I mean, there's no metals. What? The All right, I'll make it. I'll make the website public in 3, 2, 1 now. All right. This I'll going to metal glyphs. All right, I'm going to. Uh, okay, I'm going to. I'm going to change it real quick. All right, like after like an hour maybe. Yeah, but yeah, this is touch grass. Enjoy your metal clips, I guess. All right, but wait for wait until I change the puzzle file, please. You can probably submit it as showcase or something. There. All right. This is Touch Grass. I hope you enjoy the last week of this weeklies. And we are going to look at I'm going to show the showcase solves now. All right. First solve is by Mr. Royal Spade. Conditional speed running. Very similar to the instructions. So Mr. Royal Spade writes, "This was my first solution. The output method is very unique, so I wanted to share. This setup almost fails because the second quintessence arrives before the first one is used. It only works because ARM 8 is greedy and steals the fire stick from ARM 7. ARM 7 just keeps looping until the second fire stick arrives." Oh, okay. So the first quintessence that arrives is kept by ARM 7, and the second quintessence to arrive is outputted first. Okay. That's certainly unique. Next solve. Wait a second. Alright, next solve by Mr. Piozo. ORI. Alright. Is this actually OR though? Okay. So yeah, you can do overlaps and then ah. I'm not sure if this is min or well, I guess this is a cabinet puzzle, so
It's not min OR because there's the min R would just be like it's an epsilon problem of just how many pivots you have, right?
I guess so, yeah. But
Like if you
not,
just
but not
stick a
sure.
bunch more
Does
pivots
it
on,
does
I
it
think
just
you'll
collide or what?
decrease the rate. Try it. Throw a bunch of pivots on the track.
So yeah, this I don't know if this is a free space ORI, but maybe it's plausible that this is a cabinet ORI. Alright, next solve. Quote unquote BR by Ebonov. Okay.
Oh, that's cute. Nice.
Very nice. Nice and compact. Alright. So that was all. I guess that was all the solves on the about this week. And yeah, see you on next week.
Oh, one last note: the hex arm, bi-arm, tri-arm, and length 3 arm of the week. I'll be going through all the solves when I have time to give out those awards, probably sometime this weekend. But I've been very busy, so I don't know exactly when I'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
apologies. But I had to. I definitely wasn't doing it before all the before the deadline, so I couldn't get the awards for this stream.
Well, thank you for Mr. Royal Spade. Mr. Royal Spade, thank you for having me, and Spectria Limina, thank you for commentating.
Yeah, and thank you for commentating, and thank you for the awesome work hosting this tournament. Or event, I suppose.